So our introduction for section 1.3 is going to focus on forming a quadratic equation with given roots and talking about how the roots and the coefficients work together. So if we look at a quadratic equation, 6x squared minus 7x minus 5 equals 0, how do we find the roots to that? Well, we can do the quadratic formula. We can also factor, completing the square, many different methods. But I'm going to show you kind of how all this stuff works together. So if we have this equation, I want to find roots. So I want to first try to break this up into factors. So if I want to break this up into factors, I'm going to set up my parentheses, and I want to make two binomials. So I'm going to try to figure out terms that work with this. The negative 5 gives me a good hint, so it tells me I'm probably going to have 5 and 1. So if I look, I'm going to factor this as 3x c and 2x. And if I put, if I put my minus 5 with my 3x, so this is going to make negative 10x, and then I can add 1 on the end to make that positive 3 at the end. And so this is how that breaks up. Well, what we know at this point is that because we have these two factors multiplying to make 0, that either of them can be 0. So from this point, we're going to move over our constant terms. Okay, and then we're going to finally get x to equal 5/3. And we're going to get x to equal negative 1/2. So these are roots. And these are factors. Okay, so we can use, if we have an equation, we can break it up into the factors. These are also factors, and then we can then find the roots from there. Now, if we wanted to go in reverse, we could do that. If we start with roots, let's say, if we know our roots are, let's say x is 1/3 and x is 1/5, for example. Okay, so the first step that we want to do is we want to multiply to get rid of any fractions. And so in this case, our second step, we're going to multiply by 3 in this first part. So this becomes 3x equals 1, and this is going to become 5x equals 1. So now we can actually make our factors. What we do is we're going to move those constants over together so we can get 0 on one side. So we get 3x minus 1 equals 0, and we're going to get 5x minus 1 equals 0. So these are our factors. Now what we want to do is we want to put them together, because if either of those can equal 0, then each of these factors can also work too. So 5x minus 1 equals 0. And then we can finally multiply this all out to make a full quadratic equation that is like in a standard form. This is going to be 15x squared. We got a minus 5x, a minus 3x, so we get minus 8x, and then finally plus 1 equals 0. So we can start with our roots and get all the way to our final equation, or we can start with an equation and get down to our roots. So it works forward and backwards the same way. So this is the introduction of what we're going to do for this section.